Okay, so let's get to a couple of these comments here real quick. Antonio says, rewatched The Flash again today in theaters. Had a bigger blast than the second time around. Really sad about how the film is performing at the box office. Yeah, I mean, look, this is a 250. People forget this is a $250 million film. I mean, I think that goes. I think that gets a little. I think that does not in people's minds because they're just going there to watch it. I'm so happy that you had a great time again. I really am. Um, that being said, congratulations. I'd be curious though. Did you see it in IMAX or 2D? I'd be curious about that. Let me know about that, Antonius. And Dad says, I think Sony is taking the lumps with their fan reactions, but their plan will cultivate into a huge Sinister Six movie. People always have negative views to new character introduction movies. You know what? I was thinking the same thing, Dad. I was thinking the same thing. Now, I could see that very easily. I don't know if Craven is part of the Sinister Six, so I don't know about that. But I do think that I look, as long as they're able to make references to Spider-Man, and if you've seen the trailer already, you know what I'm talking about. And this obviously with spoilers, but you see little spiders coming down, and then the last shot of it is, he's like, "Oh, my name is Rhino," and of course that's one of the villains of Spider-Man. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. It would be very, very interesting to see if they could culminate into that. Um, Maybe, and this is just a maybe they're developing this villain for the new Spider-Man movie. That is a distinct possibility. That is a distinct possibility. So I'd be curious about that. So he says, I actually watched it in 2D. Actually, you can watch the whole CGI. It's much better the second time around. Believe me. Yeah, I'd have to go back and see it again. I'm sure I would. I mean, I only saw it the once, so I'd have to go back and see it again. So let's move on. But we're going to stay with the Flash, okay, once again. Um, and one of the big characters, and I talked about her in my spoiler cast, um, I thought she did a great job, okay, but she wasn't given enough to do, okay. And I'm talking about Sasha Calle. She was great. How they used her, I didn't care for at all, okay. Um, and so that being said, I thought that her death, or who knows if she died because this is the multiverse, right? Um, I think that it's really I didn't care for what they did with her. I enjoyed her as an actress, though. I think she was good, but they didn't give her enough to do. Anyways, the reason I bring this up is she says that the Flash was, quote, a runaway to a bigger story for Supergirl as she ponders the future of Kara Zor-El. Sasha Calle is hoping to continue to play the role of Supergirl after being introduced in the superhero movie The Flash. The Young and the Restless alum played Kara Zor-El in the DC film and expressed excitement at the prospect of continuing to tell her story in future movies. I love her so much and I feel her so deeply, she told Entertainment Tonight. I think that this movie was a runaway to a bigger story for her. As for what Callie would like to see her character do, she says, I just want her to deep dive into Kara and her feelings into her day to day. I would just love to see her in regular clothes and human clothes. As a fan, the whole time I was filming, I kept thinking, what would she wear? What glasses would she wear? Callie put herself in fan shoes and noted that audiences did not get to meet her as her, quote, human realized self, end quote, and, quote, as a fan, that would be something very cool, end quote. The future of Callie continues to play Supergirl has not been decided, but ahead of the premiere of The Flash, the former Man of Steel, Henry Cavill, gave her his stamp of approval. I asked him, did I make you proud? Because did Superman approve? She said to EW. And he was like, absolutely. He did a phenomenal job. I think to me that meant the world because, Henry Cavill is the Man of Steel to her. So um, let me just let me get to this, and then I will get to that comment, Kevin. I think that she did a great job, and she's right. She didn't get enough to do in this. Okay, we only saw her maybe for 10 or 12 minutes. I may be, missing the time about that, but the point is, she didn't get a lot to do, and I think that look, I think she did a great job. I think she did a great job, and I think that she should come back. And I think that was one of the plus sides of this film. And I think that being said, we might see her back with this new Supergirl movie, and I think that would be a blast to see. Um, but they have a lot. James Gunn has a lot of decisions to make, right? A lot of decisions. One of them mainly is she going to come back? Because I think it would really be detrimental to not only her but the character in James Gunn if they just had her in one movie and then wrote her off and said, "Okay, you're dead." I think they need to bring her on from multiple um, pictures to really get that emotional connection. And she's already thinking ahead. Okay, it's I'm going to equate it to this. It's like the Batman. Okay, we see a lot of Batman in the Batman movie. Okay, there's only about 4 or 5 scenes with Bruce Wayne. Okay, you had the beginnings. You had the scene with couple scenes with Alfred. You had the funeral scene. Okay, but 85 to 90% of that movie was the Bat. The whole third act was the Batman. Okay. That being said, this is the same thing. We're seeing everything we saw is with Supergirl. We didn't get to see her as a human, and I think that would be really interesting. And she sounds like she's got some really cool ideas for it. Um, I'm really interested in that. So let's get to what Antonia said. People are overhyping. Oh, Mission Impossible. Let me get to that comment. That's going to actually be the next story, Kevin. So let me get to that in a minute. I will definitely do that. But yeah, it's one of those things where I think she has her head screwed on straight. I think she knows what she wants to do with the character. I think it would be a really, really good idea for DC to keep her. Anyways, guys, what do you think about this? Did you enjoy her as Supergirl? Would you like to see her come back to play a Supergirl in her standalone film? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll get back to everybody.